hear from institutional. Just put it up. What do we have there? Pros and cons of that. Okay, at this juncture, I must say first, I'm not undermining all outdoor providers there doing this kind of program. But I want you to know what goes into that compared to this. Alright? First of all, the process manage risk. If you look at our Singapore context, we are very we are safety handedness very high. Very high. Alright? And therefore what? All the risks are being minimized. So left what? No risk. If there's no risk, do you think learning will be rich in that context? I mean, I'm not undermining the net, but it is necessary because at the end of the day, parents would like the children to come back alive. Let's say they're being sent for 5 days program somewhere and so on and so forth. Okay? Controlled environment. Now, because of our resources here, Singapore context I'm talking about, we don't have much. Island, Pulau Ubin, the river, the swamp, and so on and so forth. And we only have certain days because our academic year very packed. Structured, it has to be 5-day program, 3-day program, 1-day program, and so on and so forth. Predictable, perhaps, maybe. But something that we cannot predict is, of course, the environment, the weather, and so on and so forth, what it does to the learning of the student. For example, student paddling round Ubin, for example, suddenly the storm coming. Is that predictable? Well, of course, you can predict the weather, but can you predict what goes into the mind of that person paddling through the storm? Okay, it still has advantages of that. Increase self-awareness, definitely. Okay, definitely. Okay, the cons, less autonomy because of certain guideline structures the organization may have. Okay, back in our previous place, the training safety regulation is thick, or not thicker. Okay, minimal arousal, perhaps. I'm not going to comment about that. Less exciting. It depends on the point of entry whether this person is going there as a first timer or second timer. Alright? And too predictable. It depends as well. And some of them really don't tell you what's going to happen for the next 5 days. That is what outbound programs are about. Why am I forgetting outbound? Okay, thanks for the institutional. Let's hear from Asulip.
Flexible boundaries, common objectives. There's also greater learning opportunities for pros, and higher degree for self-exploration. There are certain uncertainties, so higher engagement, greater commitment of members as well. That's for the pros. Then for the risks, the failure rate is higher because I think the risks are more. There's mass-produced events as well. So it's not so customizable. So lots of resources. It's more troublesome to organize as well. So probably less sign-up rate, and the risks are set by individuals, so we may not know the risk they are entering for.
Okay, great, excellent. Now, this model talk about real experience, realistic environment for active learning, and these are the principles of that. Real. Okay, I stress just now the reasons for doing so for the journey must be very strong. Address the why questions. Why does this ex-poly want to do this expedition? Is it a competition out there to say that which poly is going to be top doing this? If that's the case, then it's a different thing. Okay, we assemble the best team. Okay, this is about catchphrase, character education. That is basically when you go through the journey, observable behaviors and so on and so forth. And real risks are present. Real risks are present. I'll show you the slides and so on and so forth. It must have that real risk. Now, if you think back, our forefathers have gone through war. Do you think they are hardy people than this current generation? And you ask ourselves this question: why they are more hardy? They go through hard times. Can we create another war so that our next generation will become tougher? No, we can't. The least we can do is to bring them outdoor. I won't promote just the mountain. any medium of expedition that this person is interested in, go through it. Okay? If you were to sort over the last few slides of the panel speakers, or keynote speakers, let the experience speak for itself. Right? It's a bit mountain bias for us. Okay? Environment factor. Singapore only rain, flood, yesterday, don't know where. Hot all the time. But imagine it's the winter, spring, autumn, summer expeditions. It creates different meaning. Now, when you're crafting an expedition or a journey, it must be achievable. For example, she has the interest to climb Mount Kinabalu. I cannot just say, okay, now Kinabalu 4095 meters, okay, follow me to Wadi Hima. It's not achievable because she doesn't have the background. It's a longer runway for her. Okay? Now, the most important part is this leadership. Now, leadership here refers to the person leading the trip, the outdoor leaders. Okay? You must have these three phases. Preparatory work is the most locally. How we prepare the NIAN team here, how we start the train, and then the actual trip itself, and then celebratory. Now, celebratory is important because here we create a context of winning. If you win something, there is a reward. Right? Just like race, there is a finisher, there will be those, or the person who crosses the line, the first person to cross the line, there will be last. It's measurable. What we are saying is, you go through this journey, whether you submit a mountain or not, you will learn something about yourself. And that is something you want to study. Even the single things that you realize about yourself. Because we are so geared up with success. Must be 11 on the summit. Not possible. Not in this real model concept. We cannot guarantee 11 of NIAN students on the summit. We can't. Nobody can. Not even a high-paying customer climbing Everest with zero experience. I paid 20 from New Zealand. I just want to make a statement. Self-actualization. Pay 60,000 to this outdoor company, bring me there. I have no prior experience. The outdoor company cannot guarantee success. And that rewind back at 1996 tragedy that so many climbers died on the mountains because of that. They do not want zero mentality. So near, I will push on. But the expedition leader says, well, the storm is coming, if you don't turn back, you will die. Okay? So it's a choice. So this is, your takeaway for today is this. Map it into your programs and so on and so forth. And very often you will answer these questions to your higher management. What's the RAMS like? How do you minimize risk? And so on and so forth. You have to answer the questions. Okay? But in real, we don't have the SOP, or key training safety regulation, or we do not have guidelines, SOP to submit to you at this what I did for this expedition. I can't have that. Okay? Nobody can. Alright? Learning through real is this. We are not saying that we do not facilitate or let the student on their own and so on and so forth. As the leader, you seize teachable moments. Teachable moments you observe. The day of tracks. Zoom in, zoom out. Zoom out, look at the whole team. How is a team dynamic like? Zoom in to person who behave a bit strange. Person who are talkative suddenly to talk. Something goes on inside them. Okay? And then, when the opportunity arises, allow them to share. Okay? A classic example from that expedition, the Wadi Hima expedition, is that one day, in that particular, we go to North Camp, exposed and so on and so forth. We started at 8 o'clock. This is our usual starting time. Guess what time we reach our campsite? They should be there about 3 p.m. Our base at 3 p.m. Our student base midnight. Okay, reflections. Just now the keynote speaker talked about different level of reflections. Yes, we'll allow them to reflect, them to think about the journey. Now, you'll be interesting to find out what goes inside them as they go through the journey. You could be thinking about home, you could be thinking about reflect back how lucky they are when they're in Singapore, the things that they have, you know. Okay, examples of real. You are exposed to real risk and the consequences can be drastic if certain conditions are not properly managed. For example, co-injuries, hypothermia. If you do not prepare the students well, you as teacher in charge of the class, so how come my kids come back force-bitten toes, force-bitten fingers, if not losing life? Okay, so they admit on a breakdown, barely know this gentleman for the last 24 hours. Barely. You trust your life to admit. Maybe you know this admit. People who climb Everest cannot go wrong. Fully, if I will bring you, okay, maybe you climb. You don't know her, right? Okay, you be late. You have some reservation whether your safety is there. So what we are saying is that the active learning create a kind of the trust very instantaneous, just like that. You don't think about it. When you climb, you keep on thinking, well, this one can hold me or not. You will lose focus on your climb and rather focus on the belayer. Correct? Versus in this right now, in this context, I'm talking, okay guys, you must trust each other. Okay? Trust. Then you go back. What is it all about? You just learn the word trust, but whether you do it or not, you don't. But here, you have to, because you want to achieve the objective of going up, you have to trust the belayer. We talk about risk. 3 types of risk. Quickly, absolute risk. The sheer fact that the arrow missed, you will hit his forehead. Okay? No safety controls are in place. Real risk. This is what we are dealing with. Okay? The amount of risk which actually exists at a given moment in time. There are safety controls. Alright? Like the ropes, there's anchor, ropes, and so on and so forth. Safety controls are institutional, deal with a lot of the same risk. Any individual subjective assessments of the real risk present at any time. For example, it also depends on experience. What you perceive of this is dangerous, doing this. Then it's based on your experience. Then you go to maybe this one, okay, what? Let's go through. See subjective assessments of that point in time. Can we minimize the risk? The very best you can do is to prepare the student the profile of the terrains and how to walk in this terrain and so on and so forth. That's the least you can do. And the individual will go this sprain, deal with it. That's why your wilderness train per se is all about. Anything big, call helicopter just for sprain ankle. It's very costly. US 5,000 to activate all. Local context here in Nepal is about that price, but if you climb big mountains, I think you want it. Just to call helicopter. You deal with helicopter means serious business, right? Life is at stake. Okay, this is the expedition I talked about. We work with a very trusted company called EverQuest Expedition. And this guy, the gentleman in the white squatting down, is jumping 6 times Everest summiters. Recently submitted K2 with Sri Chow. That is the Sherpa we are talking about. And he brought the company. We work very hard. Okay? And of course, having said all things, the safety of the students in the back of mind. Not anyhow. If your real model, no, not true. At the end of the day, the safe answer back to the parents, the organization, and education. But what we are saying is, with expertise, the people who are experienced enough to lead the trip, who are very experienced, the risk can be minimized or managed. I will say managed, not managed. Okay, reasons, compelling reasons to climb this mountain. And this, I think, for Ngee-Ann, I must support them. This is historical climb for them, right? For the 11 of them, and that is objective.